Recorded live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website, which is now sporting some new decorations. So check it out if you're just listening to the show and haven't been to the site for a while. This is the October 11th, 2013 edition, and our special guest tonight is Lloyd. Is it just Cheatham Jr.?
Yeah, Cheatham Jr.
Okay. Lloyd Cheatham Jr., and for those of you who want to check out a little bit of his art while we're talking, you can find it at www.cheapthrillmedia.com. All one word, no S after thrills, cheapthrillmedia.com. And Lloyd, welcome to the show, man. How are you today?
I'm all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. Where are you calling in from?
Right now, I'm calling from home in Monroe, Michigan.
And how long have you been living there? You been there all your life, or?
Off and on. When I was young, we moved towards Detroit. I got older, I kind of came back home.
Well,
you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you who might be taking a look at what Lloyd does, his Cheapthrill Media site shows some of his art. It's kind of almost, when I read your bio, it was like something you had started earlier and then rejuvenated. So everybody take a look at that while we get to know Lloyd a little bit better. And, all right, so you grew up in the area. You're not too far from where you grew up.
No.
How was it for you?
Wait, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
How was it growing up in the area for you?
Actually, from moving from Monroe to Detroit was an actual culture shock. Growing up where it's predominantly white to where it's predominantly black, big-time culture shock.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't fit in.
Well, how old were you about that time when you made that transition?
I was like 13.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's tough. That's kind of a tough age anyway.
Right.
And so, I almost asked the question, well, how did that color your your perception? But I mean, what were the big kind of internal issues about going from a predominantly white, environment to being in Detroit?
Believe it or not, I was teased for being too smart, for speaking proper. Yeah, I just didn't fit in. They were like, "What? Look at this old uppity black person,"
Yeah. Well, people accuse me, hey, on the radio show, you sound white. Like
right.
That's exactly. And then you mentioned before the show that you've been doing, you've been creative in an artistic sense ever since you could pick up a pencil. So you've been drawing all your life?
Pretty much. My mom used to use it to keep me occupied, And then she saw that I was actually kind of good at it. And then at one point in my life, she actually told me, Lloyd, come out of fantasy world. For one, I'm glad I didn't listen to my mom. I'm not an obedient kid, but I'm glad I didn't listen.
And how old was that?
I was about 14, 15 when your ears you start molding yourself, becoming the person you're going to be when you grow up.
Right.
And she wanted me to kind of get my head out of the clouds, be grounded. Well, I got good grades and doing everything right, so this was outlet.
Yeah. And like, what was your subject matter? Were you into like superheroes or urban realism? What like tripped your trigger at that age?
Actually, I was drawing like rappers, like Heavy D and Salt and Pepper, and I saw in Word Up magazine, I was drawing them.
And
I didn't
really. If this is during high school.
Yeah, during high school.
Yeah. And what kind of reception did you get for the kind of work that you did?
Well, funny you say that. When I was drawing, people were like, you didn't draw that. My mom took me to Crockett Vocational School in 9th grade, the school for graphic arts. But in 11th grade to get there. I go in there and show the teacher my portfolio. He accuses me of tracing. So I said, give me a pencil and paper, I'll draw something right now. And then when I did that, he said, you start in January. And it was like December.
Uh-huh.
So they started a whole new program just for me.
And so what kind of, I mean, it sounds almost like it was like an individual, kind of a curriculum that they set up. Is that what happened, or did they just in the business of tailoring their educational approach to each student?
No, I was thrown in the class with 11th and 12th graders.
Uh-huh.
And at first it was kind of intimidating because I was the youngest kid in the room.
Uh-huh. Yeah, oh, yeah.
But when they saw I could actually handle myself and whatever, I thought, oh, wow, he's pretty cool. Okay, he's cool.
Oh, well, that's good. You got a good reception.
Yeah.
And did you do anything that was like commercially driven at that young age, or was it mostly just developing the art and developing the skill and trying out new things?
Actually, my mom was a beautician, and they had a hair design contest back then. We had to sign in, and I won first and second place because it was a design, drawing, and stuff like that, and I came in 2 out of 3 places.
Oh, man. And what was the reception for that? Like some of the other people who you were competing against?
Basically, oh my God. And this is around the time when airbrushing and stuff, the jeans were all in and everything else, and we had a design competition, billboard design.
Right.
My design, my team's design was denim airbrushed. We actually came in first in regionals and third in the state with a blue jean airbrush sign of the times type thing.
Man, that's got to be pretty cool, a pretty heady feeling at that age.
Yeah, it was really cool. And my friends that won with me, we're still friends to this day.
Uh-huh.
They actually helped me create Cheapthrill. So it's all because of them. We're all together.
So that early, you were doing, you had that Cheapthrill's identity that early.
Yeah, but it was in high school. We weren't really doing a whole lot with it then. But once we got out, it changed a little bit, got a little bit more serious.
Uh-huh. And were you making any money off of it? I mean, let everybody know kind of the developmental path that you had, going from doing, drawing contests and being in school into, putting together something like that. Well,
but I was making money by doing airbrushing. I was airbrushing jeans, airbrushing jackets. My comic book art wasn't making any money. It's because I didn't know how to market it. I was young. I didn't know anything. I had nobody to teach me. I didn't know.
And so you were doing it for free?
We were doing our own books and doing our own thing in school, drawing stuff for people in school and showing them off at most city comic book conventions, getting our tables and doing sketches, and that was it. We didn't know any better.
Yeah. So when did you kind of start monetizing it, or give us a little bit of the evolution of Cheapthrills.
We were sitting at my friend Andre's house one night. It was me, Dre, Sean, and Lee, and Dre came up with the name Cheapthrill, and we kind of ran with it. We went to the Monroe convention. We had a table. We're doing sketches. Hey, we're making money doing this. Just doing sketches. Didn't have any books. Didn't have anything tangible, but they saw we were good, and we kept getting sketches all day for the whole weekend. That's when we realized we could do something, and we started doing more and more and more. But as we got older, we all got families, got good jobs, and it kind of dissipated.
Right. And so,
go ahead.
So, there was kind of a big build-up. You got excited. You made a little money, and then things kind of petered out. But yet, I mean, look at you now. You're a growing concern now. When did you kind of reconstitute this into, building it into its current form? Well, it took a tragedy, actually. My mom passed. And she always loved to see me draw. She would love to just sit and watch me draw and say I could do anything I wanted. So at that point, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this because my mom would love me to do it. That's been a driving force behind me doing it now more than ever. And I've got a whole new vigor. I've actually been honing my skills even more. I draw 3-4 hours at least every day before I go to work. Wow. Every day. Not to mention commissions and other things like that in the meantime. And basically it's to feed your creativity and to keep your skills sharp, correct?
Yes, it is.
So talk a little bit about obviously your mom passed,
right?
And it kind of brought that back to the forefront. What were the steps that you took to kind of monetize the earlier idea and reconstitute it?
First thing I did was create a whole new logo, a whole new brand, a whole new website, a whole new image. Like, as a kid, I drew manga style. I was all over that. I was manga style because that's what kids drew. That's what we did. It was new to us. But as I got older, so did my art. I started looking more at Jim Lee and Will Pataccio and Catelyn Caldwell, who actually, do like that. And I said, you know what? I can draw like that. So I practiced till I got my own style, basically. Without drawing manga anymore. And people saw that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. When people
saw that style, they're like, "Whoa, that's not Lloyd. Who's drawing that?" And they saw it was me. The commissions start coming in. Like, "Hey, dude, do this for me. Hey, do this for me." I'm like, "Whoa, how do I handle this? It's a lot coming at me at once." So I got kind of ahead of myself. I had to kind of slow down a little bit for a minute. I was doing too much.
Right.
And then I realized that, you know what, I had different times to walk there. I had to do my own book at that time.
Sure. But you were popular. I mean, obviously your art spoke to people.
Yeah.
And so when you decided that you were going to concentrate more on your own thing, what was your, what did you decide your own thing was going to be?
I want to have at least 2 or 3 books out. I want to do animation. Okay. I want a whole house. I actually want a one-stop shop to where I can actually touch other people. Because, like I said, when I was growing up, I had nobody to show me. I want to be able to take the kids that have the talent and show them how to do it right.
Right. So are you doing, that kind of begs the question, are you doing like community outreach? Do you work with kids or are you not quite at that point yet?
I'm actually talking to a lot of people, like a couple people I've known. I met somebody that I work, her daughter. She's a really good artist. I fixed her computer, and I'm like, "Who drew this?" She said, "My daughter did." And she showed my last convention, and she's going to be working with me now because she's got that manga eye, but you would swear she was 30, 40 years into this. It's that good. She's only 18.
And so she's 18. About how many years ago did you kind of reconstitute Cheapthrill Media?
About 3 years ago.
So we're not talking about an incredibly long amount of time, and yet,
no.
You've got this popularity and you've got this business, up and going, and obviously that speaks to the fact that you have the talent that other people recognize.
And not funny you said that. I never recognized talent in myself. I only did it because I like doing it. I never knew what I really had until certain people brought things out of me. Like I guess you had a while ago on here, Wayne Riley over in England. He's like a good friend of mine. And he's like, "Dude, you're good." I didn't look at it like that. I just enjoyed it because I liked it.
Right.
And my brother Aaron, he told me the same thing. "Boy, you're good. You're great. Do it." I'm like, okay. I didn't look at it like that. I never looked at mine from the outside in. You know what I mean? So I took back and looked like, wow, I guess I can hang out there and do what everybody else is doing. I can be that guy. So that's when I got a little swagger, unfortunately, and said, "Hey, I can do this too." Yeah, I started feeling myself a little bit. Got a little confidence.
And then, so you've got at least, the impetus of your family telling you how good you are, and other people telling you how good you are. What's kind of like the evolution of not your style, but let's talk about the worlds that you create. You've got I'm not sure. Is Supreme Justice out now?
Actually, it's almost done. It's actually going to print in probably about a week.
Okay, tell everybody about the evolution of Supreme Justice.
It's actually a character I had from high school, and her name was Lucky. He was a little manga character. And the more I joined, the more he changed, to where now he's this hard-knot little black kid in a neighborhood who loves comics. I mean, he just loves comics. But he's had so much downtrodden things happen to him. He's in foster care, and the foster parents are mean to him. The gangs in the hood beat him up. So one day he makes a wish, actually comes true. Turns to a white superhero. Go ahead.
And that's like the genesis of the whole thing.
Yeah, because he like, it's called, the ultimate reason is be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. He wished he got his favorite superhero, which is happened to be a white superhero. He made that wish, and he turned into him. But now they hate the fact that he's a white guy with a black guy also at the same time. He got to know how to deal with both sides of it.
Well, explain to people how that works. Go ahead.
It's like his alter ego. You think Shazam, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes a lot better sense because, I mean, you know, how stupid do you have to be not to be able to tell that Clark Kent is really Superman?
I know that's right. That's one of the biggest things I can't figure out.
No, that's brilliant, man. I mean, who would think? I mean, stop and think about that. That's a quantum leap over anything else that almost anybody. I can't think of anybody else who has the same kind of etymology of their character. You know, they have a character who is white by day, or at least, you know, in the normal everyday life, and then evolves. And what's the trigger for the transformation? Is, I mean, I'm sure it's completely under his own control, but he decides this is what do they call it? This is a job for
Captain Supreme.
yeah. And then he turns black.
No. He's a black kid. Turns into a white superhero.
I'm sorry, I had that backwards. Yeah, turns into a white. So I mean that's brilliant. I mean, when you think about all of the different kinds of plot arcs that you could have for that character, man. I mean, see, now you're gonna make me spend some money.
Well, thank you.
No, I'm serious. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And all the while he's a white superhero, the little black kid in his ear saying, "Dude, we don't do that." You know, it's the same thing with the white kid. I mean, the black kid, the white guy in there say, "Hey, you do better." So basically, he's dealing with basically split personalities at the same time because he hears the other kid in his head, other person in his head the whole time.
Right.
So it's really hilarious.
Yeah. What made you think of that?
Okay, black kid grew up in a white neighborhood, moved to Detroit.
All right. Okay. All right. We're not going to dig into the psychological or autobiographical parts of it. No, we won't do that.
No.
But let's just say it was inspired.
Inspired by me, basically.
Well, that's cool. So now you talk about it's on its way out. It should be published. And now, are you publishing as a comic or are you publishing as not a graphic novel?
No.
And is it going to be online? Are you going to have print? I mean, what formats are you going to be able to support?
All the above.
Okay.
I'm doing direct downloads from my website. You can go on there and order it once it's done, and I'll send you a copy.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
No, I'm serious. I mean, you know, seriously. I mean, I don't troll for free stuff, but I mean the idea. I'm a writer. Okay,
right.
And I do screenwriting, I do novels, and just now started doing TV. And when I tell you that is brilliant, that is brilliant. I mean,
well, thank you.
So that should be a lot of fun, and it's going to have longevity because it's so unique that this you know, people should check this out. And even if they miss the first, you know, however long it is, I think that the premise is so brilliant that, you know, even further down the road, once people start, you know, the buzz starts building about it, I can't see how anybody's not going to want to at least check it out.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, no. Okay, and is this kind of a solo effort? Are you into a collaborative thing? Do you have?
Well, the first book is mine. I mean, this is my. I'm so particular about my artwork. That's why it's not out yet. Because I say, well, I can do this better. But I got to quit doing that. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this last page and a half I got to do. I'm gonna finish coloring them. I did the whole thing myself. I wrote the whole story arc for the first 3 books myself.
Mhm.
And I actually got somebody I want to help work with them, but I got to make sure that they can ape my style enough. I don't want it to change too much.
Right.
But after that, after the first story arc, I'm going to start letting other people work on it. But the first few of them are going to be mine, all me.
That's you know, that's great. You get to maintain control.
Right.
plus, most artists are very selfish about their creations, and they should be. They should be very proprietary about it. Even though people go, well, it's just your work, blah, 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 but it's hard not to be so invested that, when somebody says, has a critique for it or something like that, you have to take it personally because this is the basis of your creativity.
Right.
So, and what's the time frame we're looking at? About how long before it'll be available?
I would say about 2-3 weeks to be available.
Oh man! All right. So you'll have to put the announcement up at BSFS, let people know. And
sure.
Are you having like a rollout, a product rollout, for like a release party or something like that up in the area?
Probably so, but I haven't decided on where yet and when. But more than likely, I'm going to be forced to.
Well, be sure to put those dates and those appearances on the BSFS events calendar because, people coming through the area, and also there's a huge contingent of BSFS people in the area.
Okay.
Let them know because, you can garner that local support, okay?
Okay, I sure will. I appreciate that.
So do you have other things other irons in the fire, or is getting this one out pretty much taking up most of your time?
Actually, no, not really. I got 2 more in the works. I'm actually working on an animated project too.
Okay.
I've been building the characters in 3. What I'll do is I'll draw 3 or 4 pages, get them done, work on something else, so I can keep moving, keep the flow going, so it doesn't get stale.
Yeah, I spoke to a writer who does that with her books. She on several books at a time, and it seems. Do you find that it makes you a little more creative, or?
I feel that I have more energy for when I'm working on when I do it that way. Work on it in spurts. If I do it all at once, I'll get burnt out at the end, and it won't be as good at the beginning. I'll start again.
Right, so it's kind of like rediscovering and getting back into it.
Right.
Also, I would imagine that other stimuli, the things you write and the things you see on a daily basis, out on the street, what have you, also can contribute to your creativity as well. Do you find that to be so?
Yeah, it's actually very, very so. I've got some characters based on people I see at work, I see on the street. It's really cool. Actually, things I think I've seen recently. The other story is Upstart. That's another story that I've had forever, and it's kind of the same thing. This basically, think Breakout Kings meets Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before it came out.
Okay.
These guys are ex-criminals that, in this universe, the Xeno gene is illegal, and their gene evolved, and they get these powers. So now the government came to them and said, "Hey, we'll pardon you guys if you help us police your bad kind." Okay, no problem.
All right. And are you doing all of the story arcs for this one as well?
This is actually probably going to be the animated project. This is what's going to be an animated project.
Okay.
And I got somebody. I'm doing all the character designs and backgrounds. I've got somebody that's going to help me write that one, actually.
Man, you got a lot of irons in the fire, man.
Well, those 2 are enough.
Well, yeah, but and it also sounds like you enjoy it, which it's always a joy to be able to do the things that you love. What do they say? Don't live to work. No, live to work or work to live. I don't know, one of the two. But at least you sound like you're having fun at it.
I have a ball, downright ball.
Yeah, and you've got your daughter, and you said she's 18, and she's also an artist.
No. Not my daughter. That's a young girl I met at school. I have a son that's 19.
Oh, okay, all right. And what kind of interest does he have?
He likes sports. He likes playing basketball, and he's actually at Eastern Michigan right now. I'm very proud of him because he's the man that I never imagined I could be at that age. He's really good.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't have the desire to draw like I do, but he likes supporting his dad,
And then what do they think about their dad and his artistic bent?
He still called me to help with his homework. We had to draw something.
Okay. All right.
So that's enough for me right there. Just he still feel needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're not, obviously you're away from Detroit right now.
Right.
And have you, because it's only been a short amount of time that you kind of reconstitute what you're doing and reconstitute Cheapthrill Media. Have you attended many of, the cons and, had much interaction with other creatives?
Oh, definitely. Any chance I get to go home, especially to the Motor City Black Age, I'm there, because that's like down the street from where I grew up at, basically. It's right down the street from my house. I go there, and I'm like on cloud nine because I'm at home, showing off what I can do, showing the kids. The last convention, this is really cool. I'm at my table drawing. These kids just sat with me, drew all day long at my table with me.
Really?
Yeah, they came up, I can draw. So let me see. They sat there and draw with me, and I was like, oh, okay, you can, And one of the directors there kept bringing kids over there talking to me because, like I said, that's what I want to do. We're going to set something up so I go up there maybe once, twice a month and work with the kids drawing on my comic book class or something, or a cartooning class, something like that. They haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet, but that's what we're going to do.
That's pretty cool. And now, when you kind of get going a little bit, you mentioned a little bit about, working with the kids. Do you think you're going to do much community outreach or maybe even some teaching?
Oh, that's my ultimate goal. I want to teach this.
Very cool.
Nobody taught me. I had to learn on my own.
Uh-huh.
If I had had the same kind of person like me teaching me, how much further would I be right now? If I had avenues to get stuff out there that I knew about, I probably would have been published years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So now, what's the school system like in your town right now? Is this something where you would go public school?
I would actually do it at the community center. I wouldn't do it in the public school. I would do it in the community center. I really would. I wouldn't want to do it like that. So where the kids can come see me after school, give them something to do besides sports or thinking they're gonna be a rapper or something positive.
Yeah. You sound like you got the whole package, man. You got talent, you got drive, you got all of these things going on. Tell us a little bit about your average day. You mentioned that, before you go to work, and what kind of work do you do, by the way?
I'm actually a tech manager at Staples. I repair computers all day long.
Okay, cool. And then so every day you get up and like for 5 hours before you go to work, you're working on your craft?
Well, basically, I won't go to bed until late at night and get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll get up, go to work, come home, hang out with my wife for a little while. We'll play, have fun, play with my stepson, something like that. But then I'm back at the table drawing.
And in a kind of like your regular work week, it sounds almost like you're putting in either part-time or even full-time hours in order to do your drawing. Would that be accurate?
That'd be very accurate.
Yeah. A lot of creatives don't do a lot of sleep because apparently that's some of the best time for them to get things done when it's a little quieter.
It's not only that. It's like I get in my own zone. I just zone out.
Uh-huh.
I put on my headphones and turn whatever kind of music on for right then or whatever's on, and I just get to going.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty cool.
Nighttime's always been my best time. Nighttime's always been the best time for me to do anything, whether it be studying, drawing, whatever. Nighttime, I'm a night owl. Always have been.
I'm like that too. At 10 o'clock, I try to stop everything and do some writing and go till 2 or 3 in the morning. Well, 1 or 2.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about you got here so quick. I mean, you talk about three years since you reconstituted Cheapthrill Media, and you're about to release the one comic. You've got these other projects in the hopper, and you are moving to a more collaborative environment. So obviously, you're able to attract, talent to come and work with you. Where do you see maybe Cheapthrill Media 5 years down the road?
I see about 5 titles being published regularly, and at least 2 animated features.
Let's talk a little bit about the animated features.
Okay.
Are these kind of like webisodes? Are these going to be? Are you thinking about doing actual, animated movies? What have you thought about at this point?
Well, one I want to do is a webisode, just to, build a fan base and everything. But the other one, actually, I want to do a feature length and do a release and DVD, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually figured out how I want to do it and everything. I got a time frame set and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I actually put my foot in my own mouth and said, next year at the Mostly Black Age, I'm going to show my cartoon.
Oh, and you're talking about the feature, or you're going to toss them a trailer? How are you going to do that?
It's probably going to be a 10 to 15-minute short.
Nice. And do you work in analog or do you work digital?
I'm all digital.
Oh, sorry, a big-ass fly just, excuse me, a large critter just passed me out here and distracted me. I mean, no, I'm serious. I think this thing had lights on its wings. That's how big it was.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, now, do you have any experience at working on, a feature-length project, or is this something that you're going to be kind of learning as you go?
Actually, I have almost a full sale, and I got the premise for that already. So, and I've studied like cinematography for my comics. I say that just because I think I pick certain angles that you would use in filming when I'm drawing.
Mm-hmm.
To give it more life and more attitude off the page. I won't pick your normal front shot, 3-shot. I'll pick like a worm's eye view through their feet or something like that, something totally different.
Okay. And then what about the storyline? Do you kind of have that already kind of banked in your head?
It's actually already written.
It is?
Yeah.
You want to give us just a little hint about are these going to be familiar characters, or is this a whole new creative universe that you're going to be working?
I've posted some of them out, the 3D characters I posted out under the Rage Noir name. That's going to be what it is, Rage Noir. It's going to be a post-apocalyptic future, actor like EMP Wars and what's that other one? Like Chemical Wars.
Okay.
So you have some people that are kind of disfigured and stuff like that in there. Think steampunk meets the hood.
Don't they call that steampunk?
It's a pretty good one right there. I might have to use that.
No. I can't take credit for it. Somebody else has coined that. All right. So you've got a lot in the hopper, and you're going to be moving forward on these things. Are you at all interested in accumulating people to collaborate with you?
Most definitely.
And so people who might be interested in maybe getting in on the movie or anything else, are you open to being contacted about that? How are you going to go about rounding up your team?
Actually, that's funny you said. Today I had a meeting with somebody that's actually going to be helping me do what you're just talking about. That's really funny. And today I was meeting with somebody to do a book for them. I'm actually going to be penciling and inking a book for them. And then when they say, well, he said, business is done. Let's talk about Cheathrill. I said, huh? I was kind of blindsided. I know that was coming. He said, I want to help you. He said, because you got something. You're doing something. I want to help. I can do this. I'm like, okay. I was kind of stuck because I wasn't expecting it. I'm thinking we were going to talk about his comic and everything else. But then he came to a whole other side, and it kind of caught me off guard, but it was welcomed. Like, wow. You know?
Yeah.
There's a whole other – go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He had a whole other vision that I didn't see. You know, and I'm like, we talked there for like 15 minutes, talk about his comic, we were done. The next hour and a half was about building Cheapthrill and stuff I hadn't really considered doing. I'm like, okay, cool.
And you know what's cool about it is obviously you've got talent and people have recognized that, but it still seems like it's new enough to you that all of the excitement is still there. You know, it's still there. You got a lot of cool things that are going to happen and are going to be coming right around the corner. Is the excitement, palpable for you? Are you really looking forward to getting into all of this?
this is who I am. I'm very excitable. You can bring me a hat, and I'm going to be extremely excited. Like, oh, wow, I got a new hat. That's how I am. I put my all into everything. So when I say that I'm excited about doing this, I truly am. I figured out a whole new pipeline for doing my 3D animation that I'm kind of cheating at.
Well, what do you mean cheating?
Because I can model, I can rig. But I can take me a dad character in a ZBrush that's already like pretty much done, and I can manipulate it in ZBrush, then take it in the Lightwave, rig it, and render it better than I can within any other program.
See, see, this is going to be very, very interesting to people who work in the same genre. What kind of digital tools are you using mostly to do your layout work and things like that?
Well, I'm very heavy in the Manga Studio 5 EX, Corel Painter, Photoshop on my Mac and my Alienware, and I use a Wacom Medium in 205.
Mhm.
That's my whole gambit, pretty much.
And you work completely in digital?
I don't draw on paper at all anymore.
Wow. So there you go, everybody. Here's somebody who's doing it all on digital. We've covered so much already. I don't know where you. I mean, you obviously want to create these speculative worlds. You want to get your digital animation out there. You want to do a feature movie, which is already written, as you said.
Yeah.
Where else can you go except touring around the country, inspiring kids to maybe follow in your footsteps? I mean, what other kinds of things are you looking to do maybe over the next decade? How are you going to grow this out? How is this going to expand out for you?
Well, just recently, a friend of mine, Gary Paulette, who I had never actually met personally, he was doing a convention out here in Monroe, and he was having, had a little trouble with the venue and everything. So he came to me and said, I came to him actually and said, need some help? Let me know. He said, yeah, I need some help. At this point, I didn't know him, so I asked my brother about him because they were friends, and he said it was cool. So then I started making phone calls and helping out, and we raised some money to give back to autism, for help with autism. And the turnout was more than I expected. It was on Sunday, and it was from 9 till 6. At 8:30, people were waiting to get in.
Yeah, tell us about that whole project.
It was amazing. Basically, it was going to be done at one venue, and it kind of fell through. We got another venue. We didn't have anybody there, really. So I happened to know Talent Caldwell. I actually told my man to reach out to him. And Talent was like, for sure, I'll do it. I'll be there. Because he lives here in Michigan now. He lives in West Bloomfield. And then a friend of mine that comes in my store all the time, Rob Miller, I said, dude, you need to come do this with me. Come on. He said, I don't know. I said, dude, come on, bro. Come on. He did it. He brought a Lucas certified Star Wars troupe with him. He brought Ron and Bobby Causey, who are big FX guys that were in like Great and Powerful Oz and stuff like that. And they came. And it turned into this big thing within 2 months. I was like, wow, we have to have enough room.
So this was a fundraiser for autism research or for helping victims sufferers of autism.
It was for Nikki Sunrise is a friend of ours, a friend of his whose son is autistic. And we're doing it personally. So we start there. We start right there, right at home.
Okay.
And next year we're going to do even more, give more if we can to a bigger thing. That's the whole point of doing this. And not only do we get to do that, we get to help. Like I judged the art contest with some kids, and they were ecstatic. They were drawing with us and hanging out with us. It was really cool.
And what was the turnout?
I would say between 9 and 6, between 300 and 400.
Man, and for something that you just threw together in a couple of weeks?
No, I'll say a couple months.
All right, a couple of months. And if you would, do you have any more events for autism coming up that you guys will be putting together?
We're doing it again next year, same time. Next September.
Yeah, be sure to post that up too, so that people who want to help out or even just show up again.
Right.
All of these events, if we can start accumulating a critical mass of Black creatives supporting each other and supporting each other's causes,
correct.
I think it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Last week I was talking to Yatasha Womack about Black futurism,
Right.
and I truly believe that all of the kinds of work that's going on right now, what you're doing, what Jarvis with the Black Science Fiction Society.com website, all of the work that's happening now, pushing toward a broader, not acceptance, but a broader field, a full field of Black science fiction, fantasy, horror, this whole Afrofuturist movement. I think that this is something that's just, we're on the very, very tip of it really blowing up. And the kinds of work that you're doing obviously is pushing that. So, obviously what I'd like to see, I think what we'd all like to see is this movement growing in such a way that other people not only recognize the movement for what it is, but also recognize the fact that, here is a whole untapped market of talent that deserves to be paid attention to.
Right.
What other kinds of bigger things, more public things, in terms of creativity, in terms of even in terms of community outreach, do you see yourself being involved in as we go through the next few years?
As right now, I'm not sure. I'm really not. I just know that I want to be in a position where I can benefit more kids and more people that were like me and have talent and are ashamed and kind of ashamed of it. Because they won't be called the nerd or nothing like that because they don't fit in. I want to make that acceptable.
Right. And that's the other thing too. A lot of kids, well, like when you talked about when you moved into, the whole Black Detroit thing, coming from was it really predominantly white? I mean, how insular was your neighborhood in terms of the racial mix before you moved to Detroit?
In kindergarten, I was the only Black kid in class.
Okay.
In the whole school, actually. So as it got older, the Black people that were there were my family. Because they moved to the same area, so didn't make it that much better.
I'll tell you a quick story. I moved up to I spent some time in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and
okay.
I spent time in Green Bay, Wisconsin as a Bears fan. So yeah, exactly. This is people, ignorant white folks. Anyway, and then I moved up to Houghton, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, they threw money at me.
Right.
And when you're young and they throw money at you, you follow the money. But It was really funny. When I moved back to Chicago, it was around Christmas time, and I went to one of these bigger malls, it wasn't even like a West Side mall or anything, it's just a big mall here in Chicago. And the thing, the shock for me was, as I was looking around, I saw all these Black folks, and I didn't know any of them.
Right.
You live in Bay, and you look at all, you see a black person, but they're either from one of the universities or they're one of the Packers.
True.
You go up to Houghton, Michigan, they're one of the athletes from Michigan Tech.
Right.
And so there's your culture shock right there. You come back to a neighborhood. I came back to Chicago, and I'm doing my Christmas shopping and going, man, I don't know him, I don't know him, I don't know her, I don't know none of these folks.
Right.
And it was such a strange environment to come back to, in that I had to readjust my visual radar or something like that, and so you went from being one of the only ones to being embedded in a predominantly Black,
right.
were you in a predominantly Black neighborhood as well?
Yeah, it was Black neighborhood.
Yeah. And then how much was that? I mean, talk about that a little bit. Was there a culture shock there for you?
Oh my God, yes. It was like I was naive to a lot of things because I didn't know to be on guard. You know,
right?
I was kind of like the guppy in a Shark Tank.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
I got into a lot of fights because I was just naive. I had to get tough really quick.
Well, at least your dad didn't name you Sue like that song.
Right.
and so now things obviously when you go to these cons, even though they are they're Black Age cons, a lot of whites do attend them. What kind of reception are you getting from more than maybe our people to your art and to your creativity?
So that was a big thing too. That was a big thing too because I go ahead.
Well, have you seen it much yet? That's, I guess, what I'm asking.
My first real shot. Well, I do Motor City. I do Motor City in Novi too. So it's not that big a difference. But out here, it was a little different. It was a little different because I hadn't had my book out, but I had all my I drew Through from D12. I drew Left Eye. I drew a whole hip hop series of posters, and then I drew Supernatural, Sam and Dean. Mm-hmm. What poster do you think sold the most out here? The Sam and Dean.
Right.
The other one, they didn't buy not one of the other ones. I took all of them.
And so how did that all play out?
It didn't hurt me at all because it is what it is.
Yeah.
I kind of expected it actually because it didn't appeal to everybody. It just didn't appeal.
Mm-hmm.
But the day before, at the Motor City Black Age, I couldn't nail them down on the table. So it's just a matter of knowing who you're talking to and what you're working with. That's all.
Sure. Do you expect to see much crossover for the Supreme Justice? I mean,
I got kids asking for that already. Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Little kids. Because they've seen their mom show them the pictures and show them the stories and like that. And they're like, oh, yeah, I gotta get that. And so, yeah, that's going to be not a problem. I already know that's not going to be a problem at all.
And is this going to be, you mentioned that you're going to do print, you're going to do electronic.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the mechanics of the business model. If you're going to do an electronic copy of the comic on your site, and I'm assuming it's going to be at least probably based at cheapthrillmedia.com. For those of you who are listening, take a look at Lloyd's work at Cheapthrill Media, all one word, .com. Talk about how you're going to monetize this in digital format, because a lot of people feel that once you have something in digital format and it's downloadable or copyable, you kind of lose control of it. How are you looking at that?
Well, first and foremost, you lock your PDF, so can't nobody do that.
Right.
You got digitally lock it so they can't do that. And people the downloadable part, people are like, cool, whatever. But true comic book art people, they want hard copies.
Right.
I foresee the hard copies being gone before digital copies. Before I feel them being gone, because people want that. It'll be the first one. It's going to be something tangible. And say, wow, look what I got. Now, computer can crash. It's gone. But that book you can pick up and go read again.
Right. It's a lot of the questions that I have, will come up. We're going to have to have you on a little bit later, a few months down the road.
Okay.
Because I really do want to see what kind of crossover audience. And, I'm also finding with a lot of Black content creators that they are getting a lot of response from overseas, from outside the United States of America.
Yeah.
People are discovering what they have, and really, that's driving a whole new market, an international market. Have you had any kind of exposure like that so far for other things that you're doing?
I've done some commissions for people in Italy. I do regular commissions for Wayne Riley and Felicia Mason over in England.
Right.
It's people like that are reaching out to me, and they're telling other people about me, and then they contact me. Crazy. It really is. I mean, I never thought that I would have something that I drew in Italy. I never thought that. But there is. I got stuff in England. And I was like, wow, I drew that. It's over in England, and they're loving it. It's kind of amazing to me. It's mind-blowing to me. It really is.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they're all anticipating, the work that you have getting ready to come out.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're kind of on my heels about it, kind of on my head, like, hurry up.
And so you do, for people who are listening, you do your own work, you do commission work.
Yes.
And pretty much you are open to, anything that can not only just feed you, but also things that are interesting, right?
Right. You know what? First and foremost, before I was a comic book artist, I was a graphic designer. I do websites, I do logo design, I do print work, I do all that. Still, so I still do all that too.
And so what's going to happen when this finally gets to the point where not only is it self-sustaining, but it's doing well? How are you going to go in and quit?
My boss is waiting for it already. Yeah, and believe it or not, my boss, Doug Schultz, is probably one of my biggest supporters.
Okay.
He actually helped me get started back with Cheapthrill. He gave me some basically equipment I needed, and he bought stuff at higher prices than it should have been just because he wanted to help me out. He saw I was doing a positive thing.
So, I mean, that's look at all the. You've got so many things that are falling in place. You've got family support. You even have your employer who knows that one day you're going to be fleeing the coop or whatever they want to call it,
right?
Or doing the take this job and shove it thing. But I mean, I don't see your attitude like that because he is supportive. How much longer do you think it may take you to be self-sufficient with your art feeding you?
I don't know yet. It's growing. At the rate it's growing, it's kind of scary at first. I wouldn't expect it to happen this fast. But they say once it starts happening, it's snowball going down the hill. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Cause like today, he got my first gig doing somebody else's book. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, and then when you when you take a look at all of the support you have and all of the you're going to have international accolades, things like that. A lot of people who are in your position, they have fans all over the world. They have accolades from all over the world. Do you see possibly being able to kind of move out, do a little travel, being able to meet these people? And I think that since you have such a unique product that people seem to find so attractive, are you looking at maybe a bigger world of collaborating with people?
Oh, most definitely. All nights is on my radar. I'm going straight to England. First chance I get. I'm going to hang out with Wayne. First chance I get.
That's pretty cool. All right, so I don't know. I'm kind of running out of things. I mean, everything that you've done so quickly in in just a few short years. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of marketing.
Okay.
What kinds of ways do you think you're going to market? A lot of people use social media. Fortunately, you kind of have a built-in audience who's already ready to take a look at what you have. But what are you looking at in terms of putting together maybe a media marketing campaign for your work?
I'm going to be doing, like I said, YouTube webisodes. I'm going to be doing advertising. Actually, here in the Detroit area, I've got a few comic book stores I'm actually really cool with. And they said I can come there and do book signings and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing the convention circuit, basically, and getting out there in it. I'm not going to just be sitting back and doing it all from the computer. No. This is one thing I can say. Working at Staples has brought me out my shell. I think that's why it grew so fast, so quick. All this talking I'm doing now, I wouldn't have did it years ago. I wouldn't have did it. No. I was like, thanks for the invite, but no, I'm okay.
I'm doing just fine.
Right.
You think maybe you might be able to get a sponsorship from Staples for something?
That would be beautiful. That really would. I have no idea if that's on the pipeline or not. I don't know, but Lord willing, who knows?
Well, how about this? Have you thought about the fact that if you become really successful with the Supreme Justice series, what if somebody comes and offers you, a bag load of cash to sell it? Do you think you'll be more inclined to want to retain your rights to it, or are you just going to say, okay, fine, that was a cool thing, it blew up, it went great, and now I can create something else?
No, they can't have it. I'm stingy.
Okay. You're keeping your stuff.
I'm stingy.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, getting in a partnership with Sony or somebody like that is not a bad deal.
Partnership.
Partnership. Okay. Now, do you think Supreme Justice is ever going to make it into an animated series?
I would love to see that. I really would. That was when I first designed it. I wanted to go animated, but I didn't have enough support with the technical part to do it. Like, I knew how to do it all myself. People around me didn't know how to animate.
Right.
And I reached out to certain people, and they were like, no, I'm doing my own thing, I said, no, what? Nope, kind of, I'll do it myself. I'm that guy. I'll ask you once. If you hesitate or say that, I don't need you then. I'm not asking again.
Well, I mean, there's only so much time you can waste. I mean,
right.
For me, it's like I have fewer years ahead of me than I have behind me, and I don't want to waste what I've got left. Right. And the other thing, people don't want to be bothered with having, if you have to chase after somebody to do the things that they said that they were going to do, it doesn't seem like a very decent or equitable relationship in the first place.
Right, that's why I don't want to deal with. That's why I'm kind of on my own right now, and I got my right hand, my best friend, my wife, of course, and Mike Matthew Jr. That's my right hand. He doesn't know the art world, but he knows what looks right and what is right.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect his opinion and everything, and my wife is actually having a lot of fun learning the comic book world now. She wants to go to conventions more than I do. And she's out there visiting people, talking to people, and more than I do. I'm at the table. I'm like, where'd she go? Talking to somebody down the way and everything else, and putting my business out there for me. So I kind of got people in place to help me grow even more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you now you said you've attended these two cons. What are you looking at? Like coming up in spring, here in Chicago, we've got C2E2. Do you think you're at the point where once this pops out, are you at the point where you think you'll be doing a little more traveling for marketing?
Oh yeah,
or
definitely.
Looking more for people to bring you in, pay your bills, and hopefully have you on panels.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where I really wanted to go see C2E2 last year, but I wasn't quite ready yet. But I'll probably be going next year.
Well, when you come down here, let me know ahead of time so we can grab lunch together.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
As long as I can get this ankle bracelet off.
I am a computer technician. You do know that, right?
Yes. But, it's not a matter of being a computer technician. I am as well. It's a matter of the proper application of grease and getting the swelling down on the ankle. I think that's probably that's the combination to my relative freedom. Hang on a second. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction radio show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. This is the October 11th, 2013 edition, and I am privileged to have Lloyd Cheatham Jr. here, who is actually, he's got a pretty cool thing. If you want to take a look at his stuff online, go look at CheapThrillMedia.com. That's his the home website for all things Lloyd. Plus, its upcoming series, he's got a series that is just about to bust out. His Supreme Justice series, where you have a young black. He's preteen, right? How old is he?
Yeah,
10?
12.
12. Okay, so he's 12 years old, and when he turns into a super hero, he turns into a white superhero. you can't make this make that up.
No.
I mean that it's brilliant. It really is. I mean, I can't wait to read it myself. So where do these ideas come from? I mean, I understand the whole reverse thing of you being, a black child growing up in a white neighborhood, but there still has to be kind of like a creative leap that brings you to wanting to put something together like that. And what was the impetus? I mean, was it? I mean, and you mentioned the autobiographical thing, but remember, you're creating a whole universe, a whole creative universe. Was it easy? Did you draw from experiences that you had in your daily life, or are you being able to create this universe out of whole cloth and putting this child into some pretty cool situations?
Actually, my brother says I'm crazy. Because I'm thinking out the way I think. He says, "Boy, maybe you should get hired something because you're crazy. How do you come up with this stuff?" I don't know where it comes from. I just get random thoughts. It just comes to me. And when it comes to me, I draw them down and write them out. That's it.
Well, obviously it's working for you. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it because I haven't gotten to see it. But,
okay.
The premise, like I said, you could see I'm in love with the premise.
Right.
For the feature that you were talking about putting together,
yes.
What kind of genre is it? And again, let us know a little bit about kind of where you're going to go with the plot there. I mean, obviously it's all written out.
It's kind of it's like the only thing I can think of is steampunk. It'd be more steampunk than anything because the world's been ravaged by EMP missiles and chemical weapons.
And we're down to low tech.
Right. And the old school deities have come back into play, basically, like the Greeks and Norse and Egyptian gods are all coming back into prevalence because people have lost their faith and they're seeking other places. And they'll find that's ultimately wrong.
And when you say they're, the old school gods are coming back, are we talking about appearances by them or just people's reverence for them?
Reverence for them and people emulating the whole society's type thing. So you will have like these Norse people and everything else, and then there's people that are like going to be like in I Am Legend that are like really scarred and crazy, like the old people that nobody wants to deal with. Nobody. Then they're at their own land. You don't go out there because you don't come back.
Right.
And there's no powers at all. Everybody's human.
So this is kind of a realist view,
right.
a realist post-apocalyptic view of what happens after the trappings of society and technology are absent. Correct?
Yes.
And when do you think you might have this done?
I'm doing character turnarounds, and I've got like I said, the whole story is pretty much written. I'm gonna give it to my friend to do the dialogue. The thing is written. Like I suck at dialogue. Now that's once I say I got a weakness, that's it. I suck at dialogue.
Okay.
But I've got the scenes, the cuts, and everything else done, and where I want to go with it. But hopefully, this time next year I'll have a short done.
Man, that'll be great. One of the things that I found when I do dialogue for the novels is their dialogue in print is a third language.
Yeah.
Because if you write the way people speak, it's unreadable.
Yes, you're right.
And if you write grammatically correct, Old English or what is it, Great Expectations English or Pride and Prejudice English, obviously that doesn't come off well. And then when you talk about an acculturated verbal medium, that's tough to write as well. So, I mean, it does take, seemingly, it takes a little while to be able to master that imaginary language where the dialogue sounds like people could have said it. And,
right.
And it is kind of tough. Do you think that you're going to be, I mean, is this something that you're going to push to learn? Is this something, that, because, being the control freak, being the person who wants to control of your content, that's kind of like an essential right there, because there obviously you have to have a good relationship and good trust. I mean, the person who's handling your dialogue now, what kind of collaborative relationship do you have with them?
He works for me at Staples. He came to me, and he's a real sci-fi buff. I never knew he could write at all. And he's a big video gamer and everything else. And I told him what I was doing. He said, "Let me write for you." I said, "Huh?" And then we got to talk and everything, and he's actually pretty good. I mean, he's pretty good. I never would have thought it. And
right.
I trained him, so I trust him really, really well with my character. I trust him. I have no problem with it.
And you know what this goes to show? This goes to show that, because conservatives screwed up the entire world's economy this bad, look at the kind of talent we have just at the local Staples.
Right. You're right. That's what's funny.
And the other thing is, a lot of people, I did speak about this with, I think, Andre Batts, maybe.
That's my buddy.
Yeah, about the fact that a lot of people don't realize how much talent, how much, unbelievably good talent, excuse me, is in the Detroit area, or even let's just call it Michigan, because you're not exactly in that area. But, the only thing you hear on the news is, oh, yeah, they're going bankrupt, and, oh, yeah, they have all these troubles, and they have this, and they have that. And yet, Detroit still spawned Motown.
Right.
The talent, there's all kinds of talent that exists up there, and you're the perfect example of that. I mean, look what you've done in 3 short years. I think that this is also going to be a great move, because when you get to the point where you do the next Black Age show and the Motor Black Age, this is just a more of an opportunity to showcase the kind of talent that comes out of your area.
Right. I love going home. I love doing that. I wouldn't let those for anything, because it is home.
Yeah. You said your wife is one of your greatest marketing people, and she's getting into the genre. How does she see this for you? I mean, obviously she's proud of you and wants to help out, but that's not always something that happens in a relationship. How did you get so lucky?
I ain't nothing to do with that. You got to ask God that one. I ain't nothing to do with that.
Like most men, you ended up shooting way out over the end of your skis and got lucky on it, huh?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
And her support, I mean, obviously, is, I mean, if she goes to the shows with you and everything, that's pretty cool. I mean, how is she getting into this whole genre and getting into the comic landscape?
Basically, she's like a fan. She goes, "Wow, look at this person! Look at it." Oh, she's like seeing all the people dressed in costumes, and just flips out. Like you think she's like a kid in a candy store. She loves it. But in saying that, don't cross me or try to do me wrong while you're trying to talk to me, because she will turn into somebody else and get you.
Well, okay, thanks for the warning.
I'm just putting it out there because she's that person.
Mm-hmm.
Because she got my back when I'm not paying attention to my back. Basically, if I don't got my whole front out here doing everything else, she's watching somebody else do something else. That's not right.
Yeah. She's probably on board with with you doing the movie and all of your projects. Do you think that she will eventually, does she play a part as a collaborator at all? Creative collaborator?
She's going to be one of the voices actually in the show.
Oh, the webisodes or for the movie?
Both, actually.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
she's got that personality. She does. She can do it. She's got that personality. She really does.
And there's probably not a lot you can get away with her around either. Maybe keeping you on the straight and narrow.
No, what I try.
Well, I mean, they get to know us pretty well, don't they?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But better than we know ourselves.
So do you think any of your work is going to translate into, let's say, live action? Or are you really satisfied with doing the animation, doing the comics and things like that?
I hope it does. Well, I live by, if you aim for the stars, you hit the moon, you still won.
Mm-hmm.
So if I aim for live action and I get an animated feature, okay, I'm still happy.
Yeah. Tell people a little bit. I mean, you mentioned some of the tools that you use. Go through your creative process. First, which comes first? Do you conceive of the visuals first and then go ahead to writing the story, or do you? I mean, obviously the story is done for your for the movie,
right.
But talk a little bit about your creative process.
I'm always drawing, and like last night, I came up with 2 new bad guys for the movie. I took 2 of them out, came up with 2 new ones. So I'm gonna put them in because I got female bad guy in this one now. I never had a female main bad guy. I had female villains, of course, but she's my main villain. Think of Barons and Meaty in female form.
Okay, and so when you think in terms of building story first. Obviously, if you think of a character and then you go, okay, this is going to be a female bad guy.
Right.
And other than dialogue, you think that your plots are good. You think that they're solid. You've got good construction, good story arcs, and things like that. The mechanics are there as far as being a creative writer.
I kind of developed that, and I believe yes because I put them out to people, and they're like, "Wow, this is different, but it's solid. They can't find any hole." I say, "Find a hole. Just look and find the holes. You can find it. You find a hole, and so I can plug it." I haven't had anybody find one yet.
Seriously, I mean, you're. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's great talent. Not every inker and not every artist is a good writer as far as story is concerned. Do you have any samples other than what you've got up at CheapthrillMedia.com?
Yeah.
You have animations on YouTube, things that people can take a look at?
Actually, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Under
you have your own
under my name? Yeah, it's Cheathrill Media.
Okay, Cheathrill Media on YouTube, and you can take a look at Lloyd's animation there. Take a look at some of his work. I've got a picture of you here that was on BSFS, and this is your son here.
Which one?
It's one where you've got sunglasses on at night when someone took a picture of you. You got a nice.
That's my wedding day.
Oh, it was.
That's my wedding day.
And how long have you been married?
We've been married 2 years.
And how did you guys meet?
We met a long time ago, and I went on my life, and she went on hers. We were like teenagers. I moved to Detroit and came back, and it just happened.
And like they say, and then there was magic, and they will be living happily ever after?
No, then there was my godmother / her aunt told me to go dance with her while she was on a date, and that was it.
Well, at least you knew how to dance, right? Even growing up in the white hood.
My mom thought of that. She made sure I can handle my own.
Okay.
No two-step never hurt nobody.
And what's her name?
My wife's name was Tanika.
Okay. And who's the young man in the picture?
Light skin with the little afro, like little mohawk.
No, he's kind of if I were to be descriptive from the hood, round-headed boy with close cropped hair.
Close crop. Come here and look. Let me go up here. I'm actually downstairs. I ain't went to Echo.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
All right, that's my stepson.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's my little right hand man. He's always here with me, hanging out with me.
And does he have a creative bent in this area?
Not so much. Not really. He's a sports dude. He plays football. He's really good at it.
Okay, that's the one you told us about earlier?
No, that's my son.
Oh, that's
19.
your son. Okay. And your son, and so he's looking at the whole athletic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and really good.
And what about you? You know, were you at all athletic, or were you like nerdy?
No, my mom made me stop because I could draw. She didn't want my hands to get messed up.
Oh, yeah.
So we're protecting those, buddy. No football for you. You're done.
We got a guest in here that says that you can dance, and then someone put, and then right after that they put, hell no, you can't dance.
Oh Lord, so, that's probably Mike.
We're gonna have to find that out. All right, so you've got the movie coming out. You've got you got Supreme Justice coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Where we talked about 5 years down the road, you want to have a few more projects. Excuse me. When you get to the point where you can kind of leave Staples, will you feel that you've pretty much arrived? I mean, obviously, nobody stands still. Nobody just says, well, I'm going to, I got this far and I don't have to go any further. But how do you see your life changing, other than the fact that you don't have to go punch the clock anymore?
I can draw all day and be creative. That would be ultimate for me, actually. Create a project and then have somebody else go do it. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It really would.
And, like, you'll probably get more sleep, too.
Probably so. But knowing me, probably not.
Yeah.
I'll probably not. I'll probably be doing the covers or something, knowing me. Doing variants.
All right, so now you've got a couple things on sale here. Get Your Elephant in the Room T-shirt right now.
Yes.
And this is their art. This is art that you've done.
Yeah, that was the first T-shirt from the new Cheapthrill. Because you can't ignore the elephant in the room. Okay.
And it has nothing to do with anybody else's elephant in the room. This is your elephant in the room.
Correct.
What other things what other premiums, what other swag do you think you'll have once the comic comes out? Tell us a little bit about your entire marketing campaign that you at least have planned out to this point.
There's going to be posters, there's going to be T-shirts. I'm looking into actually getting some 3D printed characters done of Captain Supreme and KJ, the main characters from the Supreme Justice.
And when you say 3D printed, are you talking about figures?
Yes.
So you have actually put together your entire marketing campaign for this rollout.
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm actually looking into the 3D printer myself, and it's actually quite feasible. I just got to figure out how to cut the characters up and print them up properly, piece by piece, and put them back together.
Now, are you talking about using this new 3D printer technology?
Yes.
So, being a techno nerd actually is helping you look at the bleeding edge and the leading edge of marketing technology, correct?
Yes, it is. And where they Staples helped a lot too, because we sell them, so I can get one there.
And you bring these things to the shows that you go to?
Yes.
And they're popular?
No, I haven't printed it yet. That's for my next show. That's for the next one.
Oh, all right. All right. I'm looking to see if anybody has any questions for you. Oh, okay. Yeah. The man who did say that you can't dance was Big Mike.
I told you. That's my right hand.
Yeah. How does he dance? Go ahead, bust him out.
It's just the arms. He got the arm thing good. He got it real good.
Okay. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood, and I didn't do any dance until I got to college. So I can relate to some of that.
He got a mean head bob. How about that? He had a really mean head bob.
Well, that, and you have to have the right expression on your face too.
Yeah, he got that down pat. They got to move it all together. It's a problem.
Mhm. Oh, Mike says chair dance.
See, told you.
Yeah. So now, are you going to, just for my edification, because I'm kind of like in the same IT thing. Are you going to be getting your own? I mean, how far are you going to take this? You're going to get your own 3D printer, and you're going to start doing your. I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, I've actually priced it and everything else, and that's my next really big purchase because I can build it in 3D and cut it up and print it out and put it back together. I got to figure the logistics out for cutting it up right because it only prints so big. And I want bigger characters.
Okay. And what do you think? What do you think that's going to run you?
Well, the printer I'm looking at is like roughly about $1,200.
Well, that's not bad. Is that the same printer that they can make all these that everybody's worried about? You can go and print your own guns.
It prints a 5x5 cube, so probably not.
No, that would be a very small gun.
Right. So that's why I say I'll figure out how I can put each piece in that little cube without having to buy a really big printer.
Well, then then you're talking about three-dimensional planning. That's almost CAD level, correct?
Yeah, that's where my 3D training comes into play at. I can 3D model too.
Yeah. All right, so I'm actually running out of things to ask you because
that's funny.
You got. Well, let's sum this up. In the last 3 years, you've reconstituted your creative company.
Mm-hmm.
You have blown out a great website. You have a rollout of your comic coming very, very shortly, like within within weeks.
Right.
You have a feature animated movie already written and the script being tightened up.
Yep.
You go to the Black Age cons.
Mm-hmm.
You do community outreach with kids and plan on doing some after-school programs after that. You've got a great support center with your job, your family, and your friends. Do you want to adopt a writer in Chicago? I mean, it sounds like you got it all, man.
Man, if I could afford you, I would.
Well, I would do my own work,
Right.
You mentioned, it sounded like you were a little bit excited about the whole Afrofuturism thing. Do you see, where do you see an intersection of the Afrofuturism movement and the kind of work that you plan on doing over the next decade?
I actually don't know, but one thing I know is we all need to be on the same page and grow this thing together. So more of us need to collaborate together and not be afraid of the next man and his talent and stand in unison.
That's kind of a tough thing because traditionally you don't see very many black creatives collaborating as much as you do, maybe some other people. What do you think the key is to overcoming that threshold? Ego.
Get your ego in check, and be very thick-skinned and can take criticism. If you can't handle those two, it'll never work. I can.
And what do you do? How many of those kinds of people are you finding? Because they're not that easy to find, especially if somebody starts breaking out and moving ahead and becoming better known, making more money and things like that. That seems to trigger the biggest difficulty in creating a collaborative relationship.
Well, I'm reaching back. If I'm going forward, I'm reaching back and grabbing somebody to go with me. I'm not going by myself. I'm taking somebody with me because that's how I was taught and that's how I was raised. You don't leave nobody behind. If you're trying to do something you're doing, you do it together.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't handle it, I'm gonna tell them up front, hey, this is what we're doing. Come on, let's go. If you fall off on your own, that's your fault. But I'm trying to take you with me.
And it sounds like the people that you've met so far are people who are going to be traveling with you.
Yes.
Do you feel lucky that you found those kind of people, in such a short time frame? Again, we're just talking about a matter of a handful of years.
Well, actually, it's not really finding them again. It's reassociating. because most of them I already knew.
Right.
So there wasn't much like pomp and circumstance to get them to come on and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Look at this. Let's go. Like, okay, no problem.
Hey, I'm back in town. What do y'all want to do?
Pretty much.
And so obviously going to these cons and things like that, you've seen people who are a lot more insular and a lot more, I don't want to say selfish because that's not really it, but less able to think about, trying to move a whole movement forward. What do you think it's going to take for us to finally overcome, that whole, excuse me for saying so, but, field Negro versus house Negro dichotomy that has kept us from collaborating for so many years, for hundreds of years?
Well, I think we should actually have, it's not a conventional kind of summit where we all can get together without public and talk and build relationships that way. Like maybe we go to a convention like a Black Age or something, and like night before or something, where the creators are just there talking and bouncing ideas off each other, trying to work with each other that way. That way, nobody's there to try to show off for. It's just us. My boss does something like that at work called a players meeting, where players only. Like there's no boss over him. It's just his level, and that's them. We do the same thing in the art world among ourselves, so that we can do players only type thing. So we need to do. Let's go forward. Come on, get on board.
And it already sounds like you're on board with the concept.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I was talking months ago about doing a summit, and I don't know. I'm figuring out how I'm going to do it, but I want to do one where we just come together, break bread, talk knowledge, talk prosperity, talk growing, talk helping, and making this thing happen.
Yeah, and talk strategic partnerships.
Correct.
How old are you now?
I am 39.
Okay, so you got plenty of years ahead to try to move these things forward. You also sound like the kind of person who probably is never going to retire either. You're always going to be doing something.
No, my wife won't have that.
Oh, you're going to have to take that that Tahiti time or whatever.
I'm going to have to do something because she ain't going to want me doing this forever.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you there's nothing wrong with that, and you should have some quality time, as they say.
Right.
So, are you looking at your usual timeline? If we're talking about you being about 40 now, you look at you still got about 25 productive years ahead of you. That's an awful long time. That's a lot that you can get done.
Right.
When you get to the decision point where you're going to be thinking about actually doing the retiring, what do you hope to see around you as you sit in your chair and you look around at everything you've done over the last 25 years, which will be your next 25 years? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind you?
I want to be able to leave some kind of foundation or school to where kids that were like me growing up can go to learn how to do this and do it the right way and have positive influences in their life to help grow their talent.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a legacy left for my kids, and so that they can have something to say, well, this is what my dad did. I can go help and I can go do this. I got something for, I can grow this even more.
And from what you've said before, obviously you're going to be doing some of the teaching yourself directly.
Yes, I actually found that love recently. I didn't know I could teach. I had no idea at all, but I do it almost every day at work. I had no idea.
A lot of people don't realize that much of teaching is inspiration, and you seem to have that. You seem to be able to instill that in kids.
Yeah.
When you talk about having a table at a con and the kids just come there and draw all day,
yeah,
that's pretty compelling. That's very compelling because what you've done is, obviously you've opened their eyes to a possibility that they may not have had otherwise had they not come to that show.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think about the idea of maybe putting something together, then replicating your creative model, your education model, from state to state to state to city to city to city. That would seem to be a very good place to put time and effort, and also a very good legacy to leave behind.
Yeah.
I don't have as many years ahead of me as you do, but I'd certainly lend a hand.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We don't have a lot of places where kids are able to express themselves creatively. Plus, we have this whole downsizing of education because the conservative powers that be have found that a dumbed-down populace is an easily led populace, and they do things. They create these No Child Left Behind programs where it leaves our own kids little better than being able to make change at McDonald's, and that's something that is a very serious concern.
Yeah, it is, and that's very, very troublesome.
What are you seeing in terms of trends in education? I mean, you're obviously outside of Detroit. I mean, Detroit, they're trying to pump public money into private schools with this vouchering, which basically is patently unconstitutional. But you have the conservative meme out there is that public school has failed. Well, public school has failed, I believe, because they have abandoned it in terms of creating this special class of people who do get public education. What are you seeing in where you live? I mean, you're back where you started out, so it's a predominantly white area. How are things shaking out as far as tax revenue, test scores, and things like that?
Actually, it's better. It's a lot better out here than it is in Detroit. But being that I'm a product of Detroit, I got a 4.0 in college, because I believe my study habits were founded here.
Right.
Everything I learned structural years on how to study and how to plan came from out here. So, historically speaking, from my perspective, and see what I'm seeing now, it's better. Well, I want my kid to go to school in Detroit now? Probably not. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is,
because
yeah.
In the short time that I've been gone, it's been that kind of degradation going on. So, no, I wouldn't want my son to go there or my stepson. No way.
So, one of the things, a friend of mine here is trying to put together a mobile kind of art, not a gallery, but like a mobile art learning mobile. Kind of like, the idea of a bookmobile where you would go to different places. She's trying to put together an art mobile in that,
wow.
She wants to take this around, and for all of these school systems where art has been slashed, as the non-discretionary spending on art has been slashed. She wants to take this art mobile and go to these schools and to be able to provide an after-school art program for these kids. You mentioned that you wanted to put together your own venue in terms of an after-school program for the promotion and teaching of the arts. Correct?
Correct.
Is that an idea that whose time may be coming? I mean, are we going to have to provide our own kids with a situation where someone's going to have to, drive up and provide them with an education that we used to be able to give them?
Well, it goes towards the teachers not really teaching them art. They're just giving them a grade, getting them basic science and stuff like that. They're not giving them any actual foundations now in the art world. In my opinion, I've seen kids trying to draw and they don't even have basic anatomy down.
Right.
That's troubling.
Isn't that because they're not being taught anymore?
Correct. They're just being shoveled through school.
Yeah.
That No Child Left Behind kind of wrecked the whole thing to me.
Well, I mean, No Child Left Behind, if you look at the standards in there, and it was an unfunded mandate, No Child Left Behind was designed to teach our kids just enough so that they can make change at McDonald's.
Right, that's terrible.
And, I go on a small political rant every now and then, but essentially you can trace this back a generation, back to Richard Nixon, when he declared war on the intelligentsia because the anti-war movement came out of high school and college campuses.
Right.
And why would you want to teach people to rebel? And the easiest thing to do is, if you make stupid people make stupid decisions, or they're incapable of making informed decisions. So, art, social studies, cause and effect, real history, not
right.
kind of history that we get now. All of these things are essential, and art is obviously essential for creativity. And look how much they must be starved. Kids must be starved for art, in these places you go, where they will sit there all day just to draw.
Right.
There's a huge need, and we have to do something. We have to be a lot more active, I believe, in exposing our kids to these kinds of to these subjects, to this world, so that we don't lose them. Once you lose a kid, it's tough to get them back.
That's so very true.
Well, look, we've got about 25 minutes to go. Is there anything you'd like to cover that I have overlooked? Are there some interesting things that are going on with you, or that you see coming up, that we haven't had an opportunity to talk about?
Actually, not really, because we're actually hitting on pretty much everything. I can't think of anything that's sticking out right now.
I can't be that good.
You're actually doing a pretty good job, and I'm not just trying to brown those numbers. You're doing pretty good. I'm pretty comfortable here. I'm not gonna be all nervous. Not nervous at all.
Well, good. Someone had asked me, would I consider turning my novels into graphic novels? And I don't know if you know anything about what I've written, but essentially I'm finishing up the third installment of a trilogy which discusses what happens in America when the country finds out that black folks have been secretly living on the backside of the moon since before Neil Armstrong got there. And mentioned to me, well, why don't you turn that into a graphic novel and make it accessible to kids? If I were to undertake a project like that, you've already got the knowledge. What kinds of steps would you recommend somebody like me take in order to think about putting that together? I know absolutely nothing about creating a graphic novel. It's not something that I've ever tried, or even trying to put together maybe a 3D feature about it. What kinds of tips can you give me for the creative process?
Well, when I think of stuff I want to do, I look at stuff in that genre, or if I can find anything in that genre, and study the style, and see if I can make it fit, or I can figure out my own style. Like when I was doing the Supreme Justice, there was nothing in that genre, nothing in that style I want. I couldn't find anything. So I kind of created this manga Greek style hybrid to bring it across.
Sure.
Because there was nothing that fit my storytelling. So basically, what I'm telling you is you find somebody that can draw or whatever, find a style you like, and then go from there and create your own. Find somebody that can draw for you and say, this is what I want to do. I want to look similar to this, but not like this, but similar. And then you start building your world like that, and it will all just start coming together like pieces of a puzzle.
Okay, so now I've got my work cut out for me. If you're going to advise someone else, let's take this a step further. Obviously, you've done very well. You've done very well in planning and very well in execution. What kind of advice do you have for other people in trying to get to the point where you are, where you've got a product to roll out, you've got a world that you've created? What kind of advice do you have for other creatives in being able to achieve the level of success that apparently you're about to bust out into?
Don't be afraid to fail. Because if you're so hesitant, you got something you feel that's really good, and you're scared to put it out, you'll never know if it's good until you put it out. I've had on mine for too long, and it should have been done years ago. And make sure, and don't overthink it. Don't think you can keep doing better and better and better. Once it gets to a point, you're procrastinating. Just do it. There's no reason. Just study your market, study what you're trying to do, and just do it. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Just do it.
Yeah. And here's another thing. You know, a lot of people are very scared to hear negative criticism. You know, they have a hard time dealing with it. Have you had to face that very much in your creative endeavors?
The ones that have said negative things are the ones that have fell by the wayside. Like we talked about earlier. The ones that are kind of envious of what I'm trying to do because they're not doing the same thing. I've had positive critiques and everything saying, well, you maybe should do this a little bit different because I didn't see that part. You know, I have some of my close friends that, you know, say, hey, don't get mad at me, but you need to change this. I'm like, why? At first, you know, I'm getting a little defensive, but then he says just to evoke more emotion or give it the thing more life. I'm like, okay. So I'll redo it, look at it, and go, you know what? They were right. I didn't look at it like that. That's where you can't be closed-minded. You got to be able to be thick-skinned and not have that bite reaction. Your first thing to do.
Well, most people do. I mean, they take any criticism whatsoever as a repudiation of their self, and that's a tough thing to overcome. Someone in the chat room asked, how or why did you decide to use Lightwave as opposed to any of the other like programs?
Back when I figured out what I wanted to do, I was looking through the different programs, and Desktop Images had a series by Todd Grimes, who's not an animator on like Back at the Barnyard like that. He did a whole series of Lightwave stuff. I bought it and learned it, and it was simple. His whole theories and everything else made Lightwave so much simpler. And then the evolution of their cell shader and their dynamics and everything else, it made more sense. It was easier to use, and it was very quick. The renderer is amazing.
And is it resource heavy?
No, not really. I'm running on my MacBook Pro with 16 gigs in it, and I'm still able to use Photoshop and everything at the same time.
And I don't know very much about it. Is that available for both operating systems?
Yes,
environment?
Yes.
Okay. If anybody else has any other questions, drop them in the chat, and then I can ask. You know, you have taxed me in a way that well, I'm just saying, man. I mean, you know, you got a lot of good things going on. You know, and everybody takes great pride in you know, my misfortune, which is okay. That's why they, you know, I have this job because well, you got to be thick-skinned, you know. That's the thing. Plus, I have the face for radio. That always helps. So now I'm going to try to get you back before the end of the year because I do want to be able to figure out or find out, you know, how the comic is doing, how Supreme Justice is doing, and for people who want to keep track of it, again, go and you can look directly on the website www.cheapthrillmedia.com, and this is probably this is the best place to keep up with where everything is coming out, when it's coming out, and and then a little bit down the road, we're looking at a feature movie. We're looking at all kinds of things. If people want to work with you and are you know, really enamored with what you're doing, is it okay for them to contact you through the website?
Most
and
definitely.
Talk about collaborating, you know, maybe working on creative things more than, hey, can you do this for me?
Right.
That's a good place for you to go, for them to go to get hold of you, correct?
Yes, it is. I'm actually very open to that at this point. Because I've got other projects I want to do, but I can't do them all.
Yeah.
And working with somebody else, too, would be great, too, because it only sharpens my sword.
And you're not even saying that as a metaphor. Well, not a bad metaphor.
Right.
Someone else, you know, what's your best resource for learning ZBrush? I mean, did you have like excuse me, digital like learning tutors, or did you look at some of the demos on YouTube? How did you build your proficiency, or did you just dive in and start doing the work?
Was ZBrush or Lightwave?
This one's for ZBrush.
Well, ZBrush actually was taught to me at Full Sail, and I kind of got ahead of the game on YouTube because I was playing with the program. Like, how do I use this? I got on YouTube and got ahead, and it's actually really, really, really powerful. You can do retopology in it. You can actually do your whole character in there. Stick in Lightwave, rig it, and you're good to go.
And someone says, what about Inspire 3D?
Not so much. Don't even know what that is.
No?
No, I mean, I kind of got a narrow vision when it comes to programs.
Uh-huh.
I really do. Like, I use Lightwave mainly, Photoshop, Mono Studio, Lightwave, stuff like that. I don't see other things, the newer things, because if it's not broke, why am I going to fix it?
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. I suspect that I don't do any drawing whatsoever. But if you find a tool that does the job, excuse me, it doesn't seem like it's very effective for you if you keep jumping back and forth with whatever new comes out, because it seems
right.
like you're basically attacking the same learning curve over and over and over again instead of being productive.
Correct.
That is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could try. At first, I was very hesitant about Mono Studio. I was very hesitant because I was Photoshop. That was what I did. But when they changed the coloring system and inking, I was like, I find myself using that more now than Photoshop.
Right. Okay. For me, people say, what do you write in? Because a lot of people use Word. I use Word Perfect because I'm old school and I'm old
right.
and I can't look through stuff. But, well, I mean, that's part of it. But the other part is Word Perfect has writing tools that you don't find in Word. Word's not a very good program. And it, basically Microsoft made people buy into it. And they did quite well. They're a marketing juggernaut. But as far as writing tools, it's I can write a 500-page novel in 6 months, but I need my tools, and
right.
I don't see me going and finding some other word processor or some other writing environment and having to learn something new when I've got something that works well.
Right.
And I expect that those are the same for your kind of tools as well, right?
Yes, it is. It's like getting the old trust. I had my first pencil I drew with in high school. I still have that pencil. It's a mechanical pencil. I mean, if I do decide to draw on paper, I go find Ben. And on the pencil's name, it's Ben. That's the name of the pencil. I'll go find that when I'm going to draw on paper. If I'm going to draw on paper.
That's pretty funny. But the only thing I have left from high school is I do have a slide rule, and people keep asking, why is your ruler busted?
That's funny.
They do, man. They look at that, and they look at all those squiggly lines and stuff. They look at all of that, and they go, your ruler is messed up.
They have no idea.
Yeah. So now, when you take on pickup work, someone wants to know, what kind of independent projects do you like to work on?
I love drawing characters. I do. I really, really do. I mean, especially, I really like drawing female characters. I don't know. Go ahead.
Do you draw, the stereotypical big-breasted female characters, or you actually put some time and effort into thinking about it, right?
Actually, time and effort and thinking about it, making them look anatomically correct and not looking like, they might fall over.
Okay, that's well put. And how much pickup work do you do? I mean, are you? Do you have stuff that you do every week? Are you getting those kind of commissions?
Actually, yeah, as of late, yeah, I am. So in a minute, I want to scale back a little bit. Cause I said, I picked up a book I'm doing right now. I got to finish my own. So not so much, be a lot of that. If you're not already in the game a lot, in my corner, me doing it recently, I probably won't pick up any new ones no time soon.
Mm-hmm. And how do people find you? Are you getting repeat business? How do new people find you? Because everybody everybody wants to know, the secret about marketing and getting your name out and getting name recognition. Are you getting, are your customers, repeat customers that you know, or are you managing to draw new business in? And if it is new business, how do you do that?
You know what I do? I draw something. I post it on Facebook. I did a picture for drivers. And when I got the Marcy Black Age and it was there, it freaked me out. I'm like, whoa, that's a picture I drew. I'm looking at it like, that's my picture. I said, oh, it's you. Freaked me out because I wasn't expecting to see something that I drew at somebody else's table.
Yeah.
And he found me because of on Facebook. It wasn't because somebody told him. He just saw what he liked.
Mhm. He just put up the link for that at the Sword and Soul.
Mhm.
So social media is probably the best way that you're finding to get kind of to get clients, customers, and pick up work.
That's where I get all of it from, actually. I mean, I get ranges from CD covers to portraits.
Mhm.
I mean, because you did this. So what I'll do is, along with my partner Mike, he has a music company, so I do all his promo work for him. So I post that, people see that, and who did that? Lloyd did that, and people call me for that, or inbox me for that.
I mean, but see, the cool thing is, and it almost seems like it's inexplicable because it doesn't sound like you have an explanation for it. But you really busted out in 3 years. Even though you about going back and running into old people that you knew before.
Right.
Your online identity, your business identity is only about 3 years old, correct?
Correct. Very, very correct.
So, go ahead.
When I came back to the convention, one of my really good friends said, boy, I'm glad to see you guys are back. We've been meeting some people like you around here. I was like, wow, okay. It was like welcome back type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel really, really good.
And how much, I mean, other than posting the new things that you do you do any other kind of social media to get people to find you? Or are you doing just fine with what you're doing now?
Right now, I don't want anything extra. I couldn't handle it. I got too much on my plate right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm content with the that I'm getting right now, but I got things I actually have to do now. I mean, I'm making my book get done. I'm making animation get done. I'm making other book get done. I'm trying to make sure that my identity is solid and my reputation stands up.
And you're able to say no so that you don't make the mistake of spreading yourself too thin and maybe having your quality go down, correct?
So, yes.
All right. So we're in the last less than 10 minutes. We're looking at Supreme Justice, the inaugural issue being out. How many weeks do you think?
2 to 3.
2 or 3 weeks. And for those of you who are going to keep track, you can look directly at CheapthrillMedia.com. Also, I've asked Lloyd to post up any appearances, any cons he's going to, things like that. So if you want to catch him at one of those, check out the events calendar at blacksciencefiction.com, or excuse me, blacksciencefictionsociety.com. And if you don't mind taking the time to go ahead and when you have some time and you go, oh, hey, I'm going to be over here, if you'll drop it on the events calendar, that way people will see you. When you come to do C2E2, definitely I want to be able to maybe sit down, have lunch with you, because I think there's, the things that we talked about in terms of getting people to create a marketing force, a collaborative force for, Afrofuturism, Black science fiction, Black creative art. It doesn't happen on its own.
Right.
We've been made to not cooperate. I mean, that's been the paradigm that was fed us for so many years. It's going to be a tough thing to overcome. But it seems like more and more Black creatives are able to at least conceptually see that some pretty good marketing things can come along if you can collaborate and if you can the other part is retaining control of your work, because once something gets successful, someone comes along and tries to buy it from you or steal it from you.
Right.
And those are things that we also have to do, maintain control of our own art.
Right.
We're down to about the last 5 minutes here. Is there anything that you would like to say to the people out there who are going to be listening to this? There's some listening live, and, of course, a lot of people pick this up as a podcast.
Most definitely is never give up on your dreams, and don't be closed-minded when people come at you trying to give you advice. Don't take it as an attack. Be more open-minded, and never stop trying to grow your talent. Keep sharpening that sword. That's my favorite thing to say. It was taught to me in high school, because you never know when you're going to need it. You don't want to pull a dull blade. You never know how opportunities going to be in front of you. Look out for what I'm doing. It's coming real soon. I'm really excited about doing this. I bought some new equipment for it recently. I'm doing some special promo posters and swag for the conventions for the Cheapthrill. Supreme Justice. I got some new shirts coming out. I got some new posters. Hopefully a couple characters by mid next year. Not really. Just stay positive. Don't be so close-minded. That's all I can say. That's what our problem is, close-mindedness.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to get in touch with you a little, when you get your 3D printer, because some of that technology looks so promising, because when you get to the point where you can do your own simulations, do your own 3D modeling, and actually be able to look at it as a pretty much a finished product. It's all but coloring. It's done. That seems like a very exciting technology, and for you to be on the leading edge of that speaks well of the kinds of things that you're going to be, the forward thinking that you've got. So definitely we want to revisit that and take a look at how those technologies work, because, right now everybody is, they're all upset about the fact that you got, gun nuts out there determined to try to fabricate 3D printable guns. And you don't hear about what these fabulous tools, what other use they could be put to. So if you could keep track of that, maybe do some videos, things like that, let people know what tools are working out for you, that would be great. If you can do, on your YouTube channel, I think that would be a real positive. And last but not least, we're going to look for your movie a little bit down the road. We're going to look for Supreme Justice to come out. And then you also sell your artwork, do you not? Your own artwork for all of these things? So if anybody's interested in looking at Lloyd's artwork and maybe would like to acquire some, again, the place to look for that and get further information is his Cheapthrill Media website, cheapthrillmedia.com. And, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And you've got such great things going on, and you've got such a great attitude. I mean, that more than anything else is a great incentive for people to keep on with their dreams. I mean, you thanks for being here.
I appreciate it, man. I'm very humbled by your words, man. That's just me. I'm just that guy to be thankful.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. I mean, and I know what you're saying about being humble, but you know what? There are certain kinds of people who actually go out and do things, and they do things with a good attitude rather than doing things, I don't know, with a bad, I guess for lack of anything else, with a bad attitude. But look at where you've come in 3 years, and in three years, and 3 years is not. I mean, that's not a long time. There are people out there who have been pushing their products for quite a longer time and have not seen the kind of success. So that says two things. One is you were persistent with your business model, and two, that you have talent that has value, and people are expressing that by commissioning you to do work, wanting to collaborate with you, and things like that. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing, and your outreach outreach to kids, that cannot be understated, the importance of that. And thank you for wanting to push that out a little bit longer, too.
Oh, no problem.
No, I'm serious, man, because a lot of people don't want to be bothered. And
they don't.
For you, the excitement, and for you to be able to want to play off of that and to help kids keep dreaming, because, once kids that have no dreams are kids who are problems. They become problems.
Yes, they do.
And this is very cool. So we're coming up to the top of the hour. We're almost out of time here. I'm going to turn it over to our skipper and the creator of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website. What have you got for us, Skipper?
I feel like Gilligan, but just kidding. But I want to, as always, I need to record this, but I want to thank our guest Lloyd for agreeing to come on and for doing the great work that he does, and he doesn't understand that he's an inspiration to me as well.
Wow!
By being such a talented individual and having a great attitude, it's a wonderful thing to behold. And he's a great guy in person as well. When I met him in Detroit, we communicated for months at a time on the internet, on the site, and on Facebook. And to meet him, it was a great privilege. And also to thank everyone that's participated on the show, coming in and logging in and listening and sharing the show on the site and on Facebook. And also, as always, for William for making a very entertaining experience. But he's a great guy and a great host. And I just want to thank everybody and to encourage everyone to participate on the site, to share the site with others, and just thank you for all the support that you've shown so far.
Well, for me, you're quite welcome. And I want to remind everybody to let people know that very shortly after each show concludes, it is available as a podcast. So go to the video section of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website, and if you do miss a show, you can hear it, anytime after it's been posted. Please tell your friends, please tell your family, let other Black creatives know that this show is here, because the show serves to serve us and to let people know about the kinds of things that Black creatives are doing, and the more people who know, to what Lloyd says, the more of a hopefully a tsunami of cooperative marketing and cooperation can maybe pop up out of this. So on behalf of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website, this is the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show for October 11th, 2013. Thanks again. I want to thank our special guest, Lloyd Cheatham Jr., and again, thank you for making my job easier, even though I was running out of things to ask you.
No problem, brother.
I want to wish everybody a good day, a good night, whatever it is in your time zone. And this show is on every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And as I always say, it follows the clock. So try to show up live. If not, catch that podcast. On behalf of the site, on behalf of everybody, I want to wish everybody a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 All right. Bye-bye.